Hi everybody. So I have been watching a few YouTube videos about fan theories for Friends, and I wanted to talk about what I think about some of these theories. My notes have been split up into 3 different sections. Theories that have been proven, other theories, and my own theories. For the first section, these theories have been proven throughout various episodes of the series, or have been proven by the directors of the show. Number 1, Phoebe is homeless and hallucinating her relationships with the rest of the group. When Rachel says that Phoebe would lift right out of the group in the one with the kips, this starts to break Phoebe's fantasy. Marta Kaufman has said in an interview that this theory is very dark and sad, but did not confirm or deny that it was true. Mark sabotaged Rachel and Ross's relationship. This is pretty obvious throughout the episode arc that features Mark and Rachel dating. So if you go back and watch those episodes, you will clearly see that. Ross lost custody of Ben. So I had to Google search why Ben disappeared from Friends, because the theory that Cole Sprouse was filming Sweet Life of Zach and Cody doesn't make sense, because Sweet Life of Zach and Cody didn't start until after Friends ended. So when I did a Google search for my fan fiction about why Ben disappeared, I came across an article that said that in an interview, Jessica Hecht and Jane Sibbett, who played Susan and Carol, both confirmed that they got full custody of Ross because of his behavior throughout the earlier part of the season, primarily his unstable behavior with freaking out about his co-worker eating his sandwich, dating his student, and kissing his cousin. So this caused Carol and Susan to get full custody of Ben, and then they moved to London so Ben could go to boarding school. Further, I have a further thought about this theory, actually. In the episode where Emily comes to visit Ross to work out their marriage, Susan forms a friendship with Emily, and I think that this is what led to Carol and Susan finding a boarding school in London for Ben. So this could maybe further the fact that Carol, Susan, and Emily had a friendship. Monica taught Chandler how to be a perfect partner. So this theory is proven in the episode, the one with Phoebe's uterus, where Chandler asks Monica and Rachel for advice about how to be a better partner to Kathy, and this leads to the lesson about the 7 erogenous zones. And later on in this episode, Kathy comes over to Monica and Rachel's apartment and thanks Monica for the help in improving their relationship. And this is what causes Monica and Chandler to have such a good romantic relationship throughout the rest of the series. The videos I heard about these theories will be linked in the description. Monica and Chandler moved into the Home Alone house. This was confirmed by the art director, and the link, the Twitter post by the art director is in the YouTube video I watched, which will be linked in the description. Phoebe is the puppet master of the group. This is proven throughout various episodes, especially the episode where Rachel is giving birth to Emma, because Phoebe literally says to her that she is the puppet master of the group, and she's manipulative of certain situations that happen, like mainly Monica and Chandler getting together because of how her whole flirtation with Chandler causes him to admit his feelings for Monica to her and Joey and Rachel. Chandler manipulated the apartment switch after the trivia game. So this is about the trivia game and the one with the embryos, and basically it's about how Chandler manipulates the trivia game from the beginning because he guesses what's in Ross's grocery bag at the beginning of the episode. I don't know what the connection of that is exactly to the trivia game, but I agree with this theory because the evidence is right there in the episode. So the next thing is Phoebe is a secret genius. This is proved in various episodes, including when Phoebe argues with Ross about evolution and the one with the sonogram at the end. There is a similar theory for The Office about Kevin Malone and for Seinfeld about George Costanza. The next theory is Ross is autistic. So when I did my video in July about neurodivergence and Friends and Gilmore Girls, I later found the Instagram profile of David Crane, who is one of the directors of Friends, and I messaged him privately and asked him if any of the characters in Friends were supposed to be written as neurodivergent, and he said no. But given some of Ross's personality traits, it is clearly easy to tell that he is neurodivergent because he has issues with social cues and understanding sarcasm. And he is obsessed, he's hyperfixated and obsessed with dinosaurs, and his friends are not having the same interests as him. And this could have proven that maybe he was undiagnosed as autistic, and maybe after the series ended, maybe Jack and Judy could have taken him to the doctor to get him diagnosed. Gunther reserved the table for Rachel because of her crush on her. In the video that I watched, an interview with James Michael Tyler, who played Gunther, was mentioned, and he says that the reserve sign was placed on the table but the props people, but it could definitely be certain that Gunther placed the sign there so he could keep an eye on Rachel because of his crush. Other theories. They are living in a psychiatric hospital. I made a separate video about this theory, which you can go and watch. It talks about the specific mental illnesses that the characters could have. And I mean, it is clearly stated throughout the whole entire series that these characters have these disorders based on the way that they act. The only character that does not have a diagnosed mental illness is Rachel. So if any of you have any thoughts about what kind of mental illness Rachel could have, that would be great. The next theory I want to talk about is Phoebe is a spy. So this is proven throughout multiple episodes because A, Phoebe never really says what her age is. B, she has astute knowledge of foreign languages, even though she never finished high school, because she knows French and Italian. And and she goes by various aliases throughout the series, such as Princess Consuelo Banana Hammock and Regina Phalange. Chandler and Rachel. The theory in these YouTube videos suggests that Chandler and Rachel met 3 different times before the pilot, which checks out with the flashback episodes, because they meet at Monica and Ross's house at Thanksgiving, and then they meet in the flashback episode that is set before the pilot, where they're all at the bar and Chandler tries to unsuccessfully flirt with her. I have another theory about the flashback episodes that relates to Monica's weight, actually. And this also connects to the fat shaming that is done to Monica by Chandler in the Thanksgiving Day episode, and also in the episode where they're watching the prom video, because one thing I noticed is that in between the Thanksgiving episodes, Monica loses a lot of weight. And obviously Courtney Cox was in a fat suit for the episodes where Monica is overweight, and she is naturally really skinny and beautiful, but like, I have seen other fans theorize on Reddit that Monica might have had an eating disorder because of all the bullying that she was dealing with from her family and people at school and Chandler. So, back to Chandler and Rachel, though. The other part of this theory about Chandler and Rachel having a connection is because it is revealed that Chandler's middle name is Muriel I think this is where the episode where Rachel is giving birth to Emma, and Ross, or maybe it's the wedding episode, I don't remember which episode is in, but for some reason a conversation comes up about what Chandler's middle name is, and it's referred to be Muriel, and Chandler says it's a family name, and then Rachel reveals in the Las Vegas episode that she has an aunt named Muriel. So this makes me assume or theorize that that Chandler and Rachel are cousins. I don't know exactly how they would be related, like by which side of the family, because it's never stated if Muriel is the aunt of Nora or Charles or Leonard or Sandra. And I wish that had been more thoroughly explained, because I was a little bit confused by that. And another way that it is shown in the episodes that Rachel and Chandler could have a connection to each other is because they both have divorced parents, because in the episode where Rachel has to have the 2 birthday parties to keep her parents separated so they don't fight, there's a scene at the very end of the episode where Chandler is talking to Rachel in the hallway about having divorced parents, and they have a conversation about that, and he comforts her about that. And my theory about that particular set of dialogue in that episode is that Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry actually had a personal connection connected personally, maybe while they were preparing to film that scene, because both of their parents were divorced. I have asked Jennifer Aniston for confirmation on that, but she did not respond to my Instagram message yet. Probably because she is very busy with filming the morning show. Umbrella brings bad luck. This points to how Ross and Rachel's relationship is doomed from the beginning of the pilot, because Ross's umbrella opens up accidentally inside the coffee house while he's talking to Rachel. And I think this theory makes sense, but I also think that they had so many miscommunication issues, and also Ross was just socially awkward and not really good about communicating his feelings to Rachel about why he was so, well, he was good in one scene about communicating his feelings to Rachel, because in the episode where he is possessive of her and sending the barbershop quartet to her office, he explains to her in Central Park later on at the end of the episode that he is nervous about losing her again because he lost Carol to Susan because he was cheated on by her. Monica is not Jack Geller's daughter. This theory and the theory about Joey and Phoebe secretly hooking up was also mentioned in MSMojo's video that they made about fan theories about Friends, which will also be linked in the description if I can find it. So this theory posits that Monica is not really Jack Geller's daughter, and the reason why Judy is so passive-aggressive towards her throughout the whole entire show is because Monica was born out of an affair, and she is resenting her the whole time, and that's why Jack and Judy favor Ross over Monica, because Ross is their actual child and Monica is not their child. I have a theory that links up to this theory that I created myself, that Jack is complicit in the abuse towards Monica, but secretly doesn't favor, secretly doesn't really want to favor Ross over Monica because he cares about both of his children equally. The proof I have seen of this in the episodes is in the one where Nana dies twice, where Jack and Monica are having the conversation about how he wants to be buried at sea, and the one with the Princess Leia fantasy where Jack comes over to comfort Monica about her breakup with Richard. Other fans have speculated on Reddit that Richard could actually be Monica's birth dad, and if this is true, which I hope it isn't, there is no actual proof to this part of the theory, but if it is true, then that kind of ruins the relationship of Monica and Richard dating in season 1 and season 2. This links to my theory I have about Jack being complicit in the abuse of Monica, because if this was true and Monica was really her birth dad, Richard was really Monica's birth dad, then I think that Jack would have mentioned something to Monica and tried to stop the relationship between Monica and Richard from even happening at all. I actually wrote a whole fan fiction about this potentially being a thing with Richard being the birth dad of Monica, and I will share, I think I have actually already shared that fan fiction chapter before, but I will definitely share it again in another video. Joey's pancake scheme. So this is in the episode where Joey is dating Erin, who is played by Kristen Davis from Sex and the City. And this theory posits that this girl Erin, who is played by Kristen Davis, was not really Joey's girlfriend, just an actor that he hired to play his girlfriend, so that way he could get Rachel to make him pancakes. This is a weird theory because in an earlier episode, Joey is seen making pancakes in Monica and Rachel's apartment. So he's actually capable of making the pancakes himself. He's also capable of asking Rachel to make him pancakes. So the fact that he needs to hire somebody to get Rachel to make him pancakes does not make any sense to me at all. These are my own theories that I have come up with. Hiring somebody to kill Ross. I don't remember which episode this conversation takes place in, but Phoebe and Joey are in a coffee house and they're trying to come up with ways to get with Monica, to get with Rachel and to get with Rachel and Chandler, because for some reason they don't really like their other friends, and it's not really explained why they don't like them. But throughout the course of this conversation, Phoebe mentions to Joey that she doesn't like Ross at all and that she wants to kill him, saying, basically, we have some words and I kill him. So in the episode where Phoebe and Ross are mugged outside of the coffee house, it is shown that the person that is trying to steal from them was a friend of Phoebe from when she used to be homeless and live on the street. And my theory is that since she does not like Ross for whatever friggin' reason that she doesn't like him, she hires her friend Lowell, who is the mugger from the one with the mugging, to kill him. In an alternate timeline, I have as an assumption that Phoebe hooks up with Elaine from Seinfeld and they hire a hitman to kill George and Ross because they don't like them. My next theory is the lost sister theory. So, as we know, Joey has 6 older sisters. One of them is named Dina, who is revealed in season 8 to be pregnant with her boyfriend, Bobby Corso. My theory about this whole plot device is that the Tribbianis eventually decide to disown Dina because they have the baby out of wedlock, and that's why Dina is never mentioned in a spin-off show. My next theory that I came up with is related to guardianship. So I have heard a theory for SpongeBob SquarePants that was in a video that Wicked Binge did, and I think Phantom Strider also mentioned this in one of his videos, that Squidward is SpongeBob's guardian because his parents are rich and they hire him to be his guardian because he has disabilities. And this connects to the theory that they're all living in a mental hospital and Joey has age regression because of his maturity. My theory is that Mr. and Mrs. Tribbiani hired Chandler under the table to be Joey's guardian, so that way they could fund his acting career, which does not make him a lot of money. And this would explain how Chandler eventually pays back for paying for Joey's acting classes and his headshots and everything else that he pays for throughout the show. Because Joey says he's going to eventually pay Chandler back for everything. And if this theory would actually be true, that Mr. and Mrs. Tribbiani hired Chandler to be his guardian, then that would make sense. And it would also make sense that the guardianship would then transfer over to his sister when he moves to California for the spin-off. The next theory that I came up with is Harry Potter connection. This is in the episode where they're trying to come up with a name for the baby in a hospital after Rachel gives birth. And Monica shares with Rachel and Ross the names that she wanted to name her children if she were to ever have them. And the theory that the names that she comes up with are Daniel for a boy and Emma for a girl. And my theory for her choosing these names was that she was a fan of Harry Potter and she wanted to name her kids after the actors in the movie. Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, and Emma Watson, who played Hermione Granger. Maybe I just came up with this theory because A, Monica is my favorite character, and B, I really love Harry Potter. But if you agree with me that this is the reason why she could have chosen those names for her kids, please sound off in the comments. My next theory that I came up with is Joey is suicidal. This is based on the episode where Rachel is moving to Paris and she has the goodbye party and she says goodbye to each of her friends individually. In the scene where she's saying goodbye to Joey, she and Joey are out on a balcony and they're having their private conversation, and at the end of their conversation, Joey is about to jump off the balcony because he's really upset that Rachel is moving away to Paris and things are changing so rapidly for him. And then his friends who are inside the apartment watching this happen are shocked that he's about to do that. And then Rachel stops him from jumping, which is a good thing. But then the whole situation is never brought up again that Joey almost jumped off the balcony of Rachel and Monica's apartment. So that actually kind of really bothers me. I wish that in between episodes that have been addressed privately. Canon divergent theories with other shows. Gilmore Girls. So these are theories that I came up with that are based on Gilmore Girls and Seinfeld. The first one is that in another timeline, Rory does not go to Yale because, or maybe she goes to Yale for a year and then transfer out because she wants a life separate from Paris, who ends up being her roommate in college for unexplained reasons. I guess her dad pulls some strings to get her to move to Yale because she is very emotionally attached to Rory, which is kind of bothersome to me because I think that she should have started her own life at college away from Rory at a different school. So in my canon divergent theory, she goes to Yale. She goes to Trinity College in Connecticut, which is also in Connecticut, but it's a smaller Catholic college that is not Ivy League. And she meets Ben Geller, Carol, Susan, and Ross's son, who is the teaching assistant in her literature class. And she realizes through conversation that she is related to both Paris and Monica and Ross because obviously Ross is his dad and Monica is his aunt and Paris is his second cousin because Jack and her grandfather fought in the Korean War. So I'm working on a fan fiction right now that's based on this theory that I came up with. The next canon divergent theory is focused on the episode of Seinfeld called The Fix Up, where George dates Elaine's friend, who is played by Maggie Wheeler. So this theory is that Cynthia does not really like George and breaks up with and doesn't continue to date him because she doesn't really like George So she changes her identity and is still living in New York, but under a different name. And that's how she becomes Janice and meets Chandler. And Chandler and Janice meet in the same bar that's in the flashback episode, but they meet on a different night when Chandler is not with Monica and the rest of his friends, and they bond over being lonely, and that's how they become a couple. Did I come up with this theory because Maggie Wheeler plays both Janice and Cynthia? Yes, I did, but I think it makes sense. The next theory is a theory I just came up with yesterday afternoon when I was watching a YouTube video about Seinfeld theories, which will also be linked in the description. So, this theory is set around Susan Ross, who is George's fiance, who mysteriously dies from licking envelopes for their wedding. So, the theory that is talked about in the YouTube video that I watched is that Susan's parents don't like George, and they conspire with Susan to help her fake her death, so that way she gets away from him and how controlling and manipulative he is. And I mean, I think this is true because you never see George going to a funeral for Susan. You never see her dead body. You just see her passing away you just see her like fainting from licking the poisonous envelopes, but you don't see what happens to her afterwards. In between all of the wedding planning episodes, she discovers that she's a lesbian and her parents are homophobic. These episodes with planning the wedding are set in the same time period that leads up to Barry and Mindy's wedding at the end of season 2 of Friends, because the air dates of the invitations and the one with Barry and Mindy's wedding are the same date. So my theory is how this connects to Friends is that Susan and Carol go to the same gym as Susan, and they meet each other at the gym, and Susan, and Carol and Susan, Seinfeld Susan, they bond over the fact that they both have homophobic parents, and Susan's girlfriend also goes to the same gym, and her name is Seinfeld Susan's girlfriend's name is Ella. I just randomly came up with that name because we never actually get to meet this character in Seinfeld because Susan is out of the show after the invitations episode. So, I mean, I think this theory makes sense because of the air dates of when the episodes were filmed. And I think it could be possible that Susan and her girlfriend are friends with Carol and Susan, and their kids go to the same school. Like, Susan from Seinfeld's kid is a little bit younger than Ben, so they're friends for a little while until Carol and Susan move to London to get away from Ross and how he's an unfit parent. So what do you guys think of these theories? Do you like the theories that I came up with? What do you think of the theories that I mentioned that were in other YouTube videos? For more information about about the theories that I mentioned, the videos that I watched will be linked in the description. And if you have any thoughts on other theories on Friends and Seinfeld that are mentioned in these videos, I want to hear what your thoughts are about those theories as well, because there are a lot of good theories out there about both of these shows that I wouldn't mind discussing. Have a great day.